Hello and welcome to this second in a series of special episodes of Sceptic Takeout. In the last special, I interviewed Jenna Belg about meditation and it was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed doing that episode. This time I'm doing something a little bit different. First it started off as a kind of a general Ask an Atheist idea. And then I thought, why not make it Ask a Cradle Atheist? Cradle Atheist is someone who's never had a religion, never had a belief in God, and was grown up in a secular household. I thought, why not go down that route, make it a little bit different? But then I thought, if we're doing that, if we're making it a little bit different, why don't we go the whole hog and make it Ask a Skeptic and open the questions wide open? So that is exactly what we're going to do. So before we start, a couple of announcements. I've got them written down on my little bit of notepaper here. First of all, you may have noticed if you're a regular watcher of the programme that I'm doing a weekly podcast with my friends Laura and Richard, and that's a Sceptic roundtable where we just look at different subjects. You can find that on YouTube or all your favourite podcast platforms. We've also got a discussion group on Facebook which is brilliant. All the people who watch our programme can come and interact with us whenever they desire, talk about the programmes we're doing. That's called Sceptic Hangout. And as I say, it's on YouTube and all your favourite podcast platforms. Speaking of Laura, on April the 20th, she's going to be on The Perspective with Ethan Michael. Ethan Michael is a friend of the show. He's done a great deal to help me get this off the ground and really inspired me. You may have seen him on the episode 5 about the shows that influenced me. Go and look at Ethan's stuff, and Laura's going to be on The Perspective on the 20th of April. I'm going to be on this Perspective on May the 4th. I'm going to follow that up on the 13th of May on another one of Ethan's shows, Ask an Atheist. So if you want to see a short half an hour interview with me, that'll be available as well. Before any of those shows, I'm going to be on the Bloody Good Film podcast, where I've been asked on as a skeptic to look at the film The Exorcism of Emily Rose. We had some great fun recording it, and that's going to be airing mid-April. So, without further ado, what we're going to do is jump straight into the questions. Got a wide range of questions from a wide range of people. Let's jump straight into them. How do you do life without God? Well, I've never really had anything to compare that to. I've always had a life without God. I've got some great religious friends. I've got friends who are Muslim, who are Buddhist, who are Christian, many denominations of Christianity, and I've got a great relationship with those people. I'm friends with nuns, I'm friends with vicars, so I'm fully aware of the God concept, but it's not something that's ever influenced the way I do anything or had any impact on any of the decisions I've made. How do I do life without God? I don't know, I just live. It's what I've always done. So I hope that answers your question. Who do you talk to? Well, if you're meaning in relation of how do I iron out problems and things in my life without the church, the support of the church or the support of the religious community, I just have friends. I have friends who I go to, like anyone else really. Just because I don't have a religious community doesn't mean I don't have any community. I've got some really good close friends. You know, I've recently had a visit to hospital. I text one of my friends to see if she was awake. She was asleep, so I got a cab there, I got a cab back, and when she found out that I'd not phoned her and woken her up to take me, I got into trouble. She shouted at me. You know, I've got a support network, I've got a loving wife, I've got a loving family, so I don't feel that I need a kind of religious community. There, I've got all the support I need. Don't you feel alone in the world? Not at all. As I said in answer to the previous question, I've got a close-knit family, close-knit friends, I don't feel alone at all. Am I just talking to myself? So all the answers and conversations I have are in my head. I don't really know how to take this question. I don't feel that I need to talk to any kind of perceived external being in order to iron things out or work things out. Spend a lot of time thinking, spend a lot of time in meditation and doing that kind of thing. So I've got a good internal dialogue going off. I don't feel I need any kind of perceived supernatural being to help me out in those areas. Am I really so smart? No. And I don't think anybody is. I think we're all prone to biases and going wrong and things like that. I think at the end of the day, you've just got to be open and honest about it and say there's things I don't know. I'm open to learning new things, and I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong and being shown to wrong, and I'm open to admitting that and then moving on from that. How was it being raised atheist? It was okay. Like the first question, I've got nothing to compare it to. I had a good loving family. You know, I've lost my dad now. I lost him about 8 years ago. You know, my mum's still alive, and yeah, they brought me up, as far as I can tell, quite well. I've turned out reasonably well-rounded anyway. So yeah, it was great being raised atheist. How did you learn to solve problems? I don't know. Experience, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I've always been quite analytical in my thinking anyway, so I've always worked things out. And then, of course, when I started meditating, I was about, how old will I have been? 23, 24-ish maybe, I'm not sure. When I started meditating, that was a whole level of deep diving, which in the long term really increased my ability to think things through, to step out of the box and to have a look at things from another perspective. Did your mom explain death? No, not really. And I lost both my grandfathers. So I lost one when I was around 3 and another a couple of years after that. And I don't remember the first one. We didn't go to the funeral of the second one. I don't remember a distinct point when anyone sat down with me and explained death. I've grown up with death. I've been aware of death from as long back as I can remember, and when I have lost people, I've not really suffered a great deal of mental upheaval when that's happened. So I think, I don't think I really needed it explaining to me. Do you believe in life after death? No, not now, and not for a long time. When I was maybe junior school age, I probably, I was interested in ghosts, and I probably accepted that ghosts were real, but that's gone now. I don't believe in any form of life after death. I don't believe in a soul that is continued in any way, shape or form. So no, don't believe in any form of life after death whatsoever. Can you explain crop circles? I love this question. This is brilliant. This cuts to the heart of skepticism. I don't have to explain crop circles. The skeptical position is withholding belief until there is enough evidence to explain something. Now, regarding crop circles, we have examples of people who've come forward and admitted that they've made them. We have other examples of people who claim that they're made by extraterrestrial beings, and when you look at the scale of probabilities, the first one is far more probable than the other one. Now, we have crop circles that no one's admitted to making, but when you look at the as I said, the scale of probabilities, it's not likely that alien beings have travelled halfway across the galaxy to draw pictures, to make agriglyphs, which is a technical term for a crop circle, in the ground to communicate some message that we don't quite get. So I can't necessarily explain all crop circles. I don't feel I have to explain crop circles. The time to believe them, that there is a supernatural explanation or way out explanation is when evidence is presented for it, and thus far there hasn't been. The only explanation we have had is that people have made them. Considering all life is doomed due to known physics, i.e. the sun is expanding as it burns out, swallowing the planets, and eventually being swallowed by a black hole, why do you think all life seeks to procreate and live as long as possible? Now, I'm not entirely sure about the physics behind that question. I'm not sure that our planet's going to be devoured by a black hole, but that aside, the crux of the question, why do you think all life seeks to procreate and live as long as possible? From an anthropological point of view, I don't really know the answer to that. I can give you a basic point of view, and that is from my own perspective, and I'm going to break it down into two sections. Why do you think all life seeks to procreate? Because it's fun. Sex is tremendously good fun. I've got two kids, and they were both planned, but at no point during the process of making those kids did I think, this is fantastic, I will pass on my seed. It was just jolly good fun. And I think that is why life seeks to procreate. I don't think there's any particular underlying meaning to it. I'm sure if Richard Dawkins is watching this, he might pop up and correct me on that, but from my perspective, it's just jolly good fun. So the second part of that question is, and live as long as possible. Well, I don't want to die. And I don't think anything particularly wants to die. I can accept that we're going to die without the desire to die. I'm having quite a good time on this little ball, and I hope it lasts as long as possible. At the time it ends, that's the time it ends, and I've got to accept that, but I've no desire for it to end just yet. Do you have any of the theories concerning the definition of life, i.e. what is the difference between being alive and dead? That is a huge, huge question, and it's an ongoing question. I don't think anyone has a definitive answer to that question. What is the difference between being alive and dead? I don't know. Are we, you only have to watch a few Star Trek episodes to realise that, that's a very difficult question to answer. What makes something alive? Is it consciousness? Is it the processes of reproducing? Are viruses considered to be alive? Some people say yes, some people say no. The whole question of abiogenesis, the beginning of life, is a fantastic question, and I think that's probably the place to look to find that answer, but I don't have that answer. The Christian teaching, as you know, determines that salvation is to be found through Jesus alone. Does it ever concern you, those with an atheistic point of view, that you may well miss it? Looking at it hypothetically, if a Christian comes to the end of their life, and let's say it becomes apparent that there was no need for a saviour or redemption, you could say that the person may have a neg on their face. However, if it's true, the implication for those who reject the free gift of salvation are eternal and cannot be undone. I don't care. Genuinely don't care. I look at all religions the same. I don't fear a Muslim hell. I don't feel a Buddhist hell. I don't feel a Christian hell. I don't fear, the offer of salvation just isn't appeal. It doesn't appeal. It has no hold on me. The offer of damnation has no hold on me. And of course the simple retort to that question is, what would you do if it turns out Islam is correct? Wouldn't you be sad that you'd spent all your life following the Christian teachings when you're now going to go and spend eternity in an Islamic hell? You probably don't think about it. It's probably not something you're bothered about, and that is exactly how I feel across the board. I just don't care. It does not bother me in the slightest. I'm aware that not all atheists are proponents of determinism, but for those who do, if what Richard Dawkins says about determinism is true, in that we are just dancing to the tune of our DNA, as he puts it, how are we to view this in view of morality if a person who decides to brutally murder another person is deemed to be just acting upon or dancing to the tune of their DNA? I don't know much about what Dawkins said about determinism. I don't generally tend to read atheist books. It's not something I'm particularly interested in. The only Dawkins book I do have is about evolution. So I don't know really, and I've not read it yet, so I don't really know what he says on the subject. Regarding determinism in general, a lot of people look at Libet's experiments from I think they were from the 80s, and draw from that draw from that hard determinism. But I don't even think Libet said that it was exclusive, and I don't know what my opinion is on it. I'm quite happy to accept that we have some measure of free will. It certainly appears that we have some measure of free will. So even if hard determinism is a thing, and we are completely controlled by previous events, and we have absolutely no decision-making process in that whatsoever, it appears that we have, and we have to live in accordance with how it appears. So even if it was the case, it still doesn't mean that we shouldn't hold people accountable for their actions, hold people responsible for the things that they appear to choose that they do. I just don't even think it's a consideration, and it's certainly not something that troubles my thinking on a day-to-day basis. I'm actually kind of interested in the concept of a cradle atheist. I wonder if it affects your outlook on other topics if you never had to think your way out of religion. For example, I've heard that many in the UK believe in ghosts but are atheist. So perhaps not having to learn skepticism to get out of religion might have left them more vulnerable to other unskeptical positions. Perhaps. It's certainly possible. I think there are a lot of people in the UK who have the opinion that ghosts exist. I think there are a lot of people who have vague spiritual notions without being specifically theists. I think atheism and skepticism are two different things. I think, especially being a cradle atheist, I know lots of people who've grown up without a god, belief in the life, and they don't even think about these questions. They're certainly not skeptical. So yeah, it's entirely possible that it may leave people open to more skeptical beliefs if they've not had to do the hard work to get out of religion. Equally, on the other hand of that, then they're still more than capable of applying skepticism in order to get out of those beliefs, just as religious people are able to apply skepticism to get out of religion. So I don't really see that it's a huge issue, although I accept that it might be an issue. Thank you very much for all your questions. I've really enjoyed doing this. I'm so glad that so many of you have taken the opportunity to ask me questions, and it's been fun. I might even do it again. The main edition of Sceptic Takeout, which is episode 6, has been delayed slightly. I've been really busy. I've had essays to write and things of that nature. I've had to go in and out of hospital a couple of times, so it's delayed me a little bit in it, but it is coming up. Just be patient with me. And I will speak to you all soon. Thank you so much for all your questions. I have had a blast. See you next time.